hardly in my early 30s, driving in Lachin's Delhi roads one fine morning. And suddenly I found that I felt sort of paralyzed. I couldn't drive. And I, with difficulty, parked the car on the curb, phoned up and helped a ride, and they took me home. And I was bedridden for quite some time. They analyzed, and the situations that followed in my life. I was a professional chartered accountant with an office in Connaught Place, the best possible location. My office caught fire. The building became dysfunctional. Due to betrayals by my staff members and other associates, my chunk of my work was taken away. I was penniless. Growing children, a partner who understood but was nervous herself, praying all the time. And that phase when it came, I started blaming other people. He's to blame, he's to blame, he's to blame. And then one picture came in my mind.
Stories have an interesting ability to inspire us, don't they? Whether they're ancient tales or modern narratives, they often hold profound truths that inspire generations. Today, we delve into such a story, one that's not just a myth, but a source of wisdom. Joining us today is Ravi Kapur sir, a chartered accountant by profession and a compelling author by passion. His latest work is an intriguing perspective on a narrative deeply embedded in the Hindu mythology, the idea of Lord Vishnu's suggested 10th avatar. Let's together dive into his perspective.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Shivam. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to air my views and exchange my vision with your channel viewers, and especially to my publishers, your Pentagon Press, who got out this very recently, the Gita Secret. That is a very interesting book. Please do order on Amazon, still on. And I have written 5 books till now, a brief introduction I would like to give. And they have been fiction books. And they have been based on similarities between science and scriptures. The first one was The Black Rainbow, a tale of science and scriptures, which was nominated for the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. 2 of my books have been selected by the top 10 American university libraries for their official collection.
Beautiful, sir. To begin with, sir, would you like to share with us your journey and your inspiration that came for spirituality, like being a chartered accountant? How did you get into spirituality?
Very good question. I was a science student in my school days, and at the same time, I was interested in our ancient scriptures, and I found many similarities. What science and quantum physics is discovering today, it was already written 2000 years ago in the Rig Veda, maybe. And that set me to write a diary of the similarities. One fine morning, my daughter got hold of that diary and she says, "Papa, why don't you start writing a book?" That inspired me. I started writing and I sent an extract to Dr. Karan Singh, our ambassador to the USA, and a very learned man, a philosopher of the first degree. And I got a very encouraging reply, which really set me going, and I completed the book, and that was the book nominated for the international prize. So I'll just give you a few examples of what was written in our scriptures and later came out to be true, the concept part. Cloning in those days when I started writing, Dolly the sheep, you would have heard, was in. And I was reading the Mahabharata, Kauravas, 100 brothers. There's no other way a mother can conceive 100 brothers, maybe cloning at work. Even Bible you find saying a statement, startling statement. Eve came from Adam's rib. That's how a cell was taken and made. And then you see Sita. Now they describe in the Ramayana that the Sita was discovered in a ghada, the earthenware pot, where the rishis had donated blood, and it was warmed in the depth of the earth, and Sita was born. Was it a test tube baby? Was the earthen pot functioning as an artificial womb? Maybe. Look at Ganesha. Genetic engineering at work. The trunk of an elephant and the body of a male. And look at the concept of Kali, a black goddess devouring matter. What is a black hole? Blackness devouring matter. So these concepts were there. You know the recent film on Oppenheimer, who discovered the atom bomb. There was a controversial scene where a shloka from the Gita is being recited while a lovemaking scene is going on, and they cut out the scene ultimately. Now, that person describes the atomic blast in the shloka from the Gita he uses, the brilliance of 1,000 suns. That's what the Gita says about our inner reality. And that he used to describe what he's seeing as that powerful atomic energy burst out. Now look at Facebook. Facebook is a recent social concept here. And in the Puranas, there is an incident when Ganesha is playing on the lap of Shiva. And he says, there's a banyan tree with many, many leaves in it. And he says, Father, throw an arrow and make holes in each tree, which is very difficult. And Shiva says, no problem, beta. Go and fetch me one patta. And Ganesha leaps and catches it and gives it. And with the arrow, Shiva pierces that one leaf. And instantly, all the leaves have that hole in it. What do we do in Facebook? We have a very good picture of us on the main Facebook page. You want to change it. When you change the picture, instantly, all your followers, all over the social media, that picture automatically is generated, the new one. That concept of one action and simultaneous reaction, instant, is very much in the Puranas. You know, Einstein, the famous scientist, he enunciated the concept of dilation, time dilation. When a space warrior or space voyager goes to a distant galaxy, it takes 6 months. He comes back 6 months older. But on Earth, 10 years have elapsed because the time moves in different speeds on different locations. Now, this difficult concept, I was shocked, related in the Puranas as an episode, time dilation concept. They relate that a bhakta of Brahmaji goes to that Brahmlok, which is distant, asks that my daughter is 20 years old, Brahma, help me find a suitor, a good boy for her. And Brahma smiles and says, by the time you are back, Bhakta, here you are going to cover the journey in 1 month, but 5 years would have elapsed. So we need a boy for a 25-year-old girl, not a 20-year-old girl. That concept of time dilation straight away is there. So these similarities were inherent in there. And from there, I started with that concept of the black rainbow. And then in the various 5 books, I used fiction as a thriller concept, especially in this book. By the way, it's not a traditional Gita. And I'm grateful to Shivam for giving me the idea that mention the word of thriller on the cover so that people know that it's a very fast-moving dynamic thriller. And I would like to give a little vision about this book, brought out by Pentagon recently. One fine morning, Shivam, I was in Gymkhana Club Library. It's just my favorite haunt to write. And I was reading a shloka from the Vedas that before we try to understand the infinite universe, an infinite mind is needed, a prerequisite. How can a human mind, finite mind, grasp the infinite universe, what Vedas are teaching us? So 2000 years before today, an author has voiced it there, the need for an infinite mind to grasp it. And now my eyes closed, and I was roaming in the ancient mythological times. Is there any instance where a human mind, finite mind, tasted infinite vision, temporarily even? And one picture came before me. Battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna kneeling before Krishna, Krishna blessing him and showing him his Virat Roop, the infinite format of Krishna, including the universe, birth, death, rebirth. Everything was within Krishna. Infinite concept. And Arjuna experienced it. And he says, in this book, I have built upon that image to create a fictional chapter 13 and 19, because Gita has only 18 chapters. So I created a 19th chapter where Arjuna questions Krishna. Krishna, what power did you give me that I could grasp your Virat form, the infinite universe I have tasted and seen temporarily? How did you do it? And you know what Krishna replies? It is inbuilt in every human being. I have given the power. But when Satyug comes, advent of Satyug, that power will be channelized, because then human beings will use it for a good concept. And that will be done through the fictional story. A scientist, a neurologist, a Nobel Prize winner actually uses science through an app in the mobile, using the concept of the seven chakras in the human body and the pineal gland concept which science has given us to create that capacity and potential. Pineal gland, what is pineal gland? The human brain is divided into two segments. One is intuitive and one is analytical. And because of the division, we are prevented from getting a holistic vision. And when the pineal gland is nullified, the open dendrites in the brain receive that input through the ascension of seven chakras. Now, using that ancient concept, building an app in the scientific prompter mode in the mobile systems, I have elucidated it. A very interesting thriller kind of thing. So do read it.
Nice, sir. So you spoke about Mahabharata
Yes.
and the similar concepts in the human mind, the human body as well. How would you compare the tools spoken about in the Mahabharata to the human body?
First of all, understand what are we? What is inside us? Are we the body? Let's question analytically, proceeding in a very logical fashion. Sometimes I say my body is very tired today, my body is very happy today, feeling light. That means you are not the body, you are experiencing your body, you are something else. Next level, are you the mind? But often you say, today my mind is very angry, today my mind is very disturbed. So you are distinct from the mind, you are observing your mind, you are not the mind. Eliminating body and mind, we reach a higher level, the third level. That is what some people call the soul, or your connection to the infinite, the strong I, capital I, the vertical line. And that is the real pulsating reality. You are just simply an awareness, what our ancient Mahabharata also, Krishna's vision, he says that you are an awareness, Arjuna. You are above your mind. That's why he says, fight. Even your relations are there, they are wrong. Fight. Uttishto parantipa. Get up. Pick up your weapon and do your duty. Because you're not the body only, you're not the mind, you're something distinct, you're higher. And that higher level, the I in between, that has to be resuscitated as per Mahabharata for higher causes. And let me proceed further ahead to the modern times. The modern times are so harsh. In the modern race, in the modern life, is like a race without a winning post. You'll go on running, I'll get the prize. Nowhere near it. People try to be tall these days by cutting off the heads of others. Never before has the necessity for an ethical value system, what I would call spirituality, which will empower ultimately your day-to-day life. What is the use of an outmoded concept if it is not going to help you in day-to-day life? And why do I lecture? Spirituality is a very powerful tool even today to resuscitate it. Let me explain further. Once you know that there is a very strong I would divide it like this, a vertical line I, which is connected to some infinite form. When you go on the internet, you log in, you need a Wi-Fi network and you need a password for that to log into a very powerful source of data. The infinite network, I would say, is spirituality. And the password is faith. With faith, when you log on to that infinite dynamo of power, the spirituality within the I, you come into contact with a very powerful source of righteousness and energy which empowers you for day-to-day problem solving. And day-to-day problem solving means negative situations suddenly crop up in your life. Negative is a horizontal line. Note carefully the movement of my fingers. Negativity is horizontal, negative situation. Inside you have a vertical line, I, which is very powerful, which is the solution. Interpolate the negative situation with the positive line. What do you get? Plus. Negative becomes positive. So interpolating the inner dynamism to a negative situation in life empowers the human being to do day-to-day life and live life powerful enough as the scriptures had envisaged.
Nice. So you said the most important thing for a human mind is the belief system that we hold.
Yes.
Nowadays, we see a lot of belief system being broken. In today's generation, how do you suggest we should cope up with the belief system?
Very good question. I was going to come to that. The younger generation of today. What would be my message to the younger generation of today? Age is just a number. I am 72, by the way, and I think like I am 27. But coming to the point, the younger people are really in a very crucial, critical situation due to the modern times, relationship problem, educational problem, depression, mental disorders are on the highest level. If we want to use the dynamo of spiritual insight, spirituality, for our day-to-day thing, you have to log in rather than log out. And how we do that? It is through that password, the faith. And in my youth, I've suddenly reflected and that picture has come up. Something happened. And that's very relevant for today's youth. I was hardly in my early 30s driving on Lachin's Delhi roads one fine morning. And suddenly I found that I felt sort of paralyzed. I couldn't drive. And I, with difficulty, parked the car on the curb, phoned up and help arrived and they took me home. And I was bedridden for quite some time. They analyzed, and the situations that followed in my life, I was a professional chartered accountant with an office in Connaught Place, the best possible location. My office caught fire. The building became dysfunctional. Due to betrayals by my staff members and other associates, my chunk of my work was taken away. I was penniless. Growing children, a partner who understood but was nervous herself, praying all the time. And that phase when it came, I started blaming other people. He's to blame, he's to blame, he's to blame. And then one picture came in my mind, Jesus on the cross. When he was being crucified, he said one thing, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He never blamed anyone. And when I asked myself, looked around, everyone is normally functioning, why me, God? Why me? And the answer I found was not in any article or in any film or anywhere else. I found it in an ancient scripture. And that theory, in English today, we call the karma theory. Each person is accountable for his actions, past lives, current life. The negativity that we instill by doing negative action, harming others maybe in past life, has to be wiped off before we come to the good times. So in a way, I said it's my karma. And in a way, any misfortune that comes is celebratory because it is a repayment, a redemption of karmic debt. The word karmic debt, please think about it. If you have a big loan on your head and you're paying the EMIs, as and when the EMIs go, you feel relieved, my loan is over. Similarly, with karmic debt that you have built up over the lifetime, as and when misfortune strikes, you're paying it off. Redeem it in this very lifetime, youngsters. My message would be to the youngster, do good karmas. For the future at least, build upon it. And here I would like to pay tribute to my two children, my daughter and my son. They are true karma yogis. Normally, the youngsters look up to the elders. I look up to them when I see their lives dedicated, sincere, no harm to anyone, working hard, despite modern complexity of life and all that injustice being done. I would like to pay tribute to that. And here again, I must mention one mentor I have. He's no more. I had the good fortune to interact with him many times. And he was a true spiritual scientist, according to me. And that was Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad. And one day he said, Youngsters must dream. Real dreams are those which are had when the eyes are open, not when you're sleeping. The real dreams are those, your ambitions, what you want to achieve in life. Dream, aspire, ascend, and you will get it. That is the message today. Through this person, for the youngsters of today, go all out, do good karmas. Don't bother about the result. You may not get perfect good results every time. But karma, the right of karma, Gita says, is yours. Do action. And if you do not find the result amenable, do not be affected. Change your course of action. Reinvent, but go on acting.
So, after your research on spirituality and science, what would you say is the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is twofold. One is on the physical level. A body has been given to man. You have to be practical. You have to suffer the displeasures or the discomforts also together with comforts. Modern life is so comfortable. And science, man has worked hard through science to build comforts for himself. He has every right to enjoy those comforts. Enjoy life. My dear youngster, enjoy life. So long as you have some ethics, you have every right to enjoy the discoveries of your ancestors, your own work. Humanity has worked hard to reach this level. Please enjoy life at that level. But the deeper purpose, the inside purpose, the karmic purpose, you have to redeem certain debts. You have been given this birth. Your parents, why are your parents in this janma? There's some link. You owe something to them. In due course, your children will come. So all these souls that come together, reincarnation is a very powerful concept. And don't think it doesn't exist. I have personal experience which I'm going to relate to you, which proved to me, I never used to believe it. But when I got married, my wife, 1977, gave me a chit. And she wrote a date on it, 2nd October 1980, which was to come 2 years later. Now I said, Neelam, what does this mean? She says, on this date, 2 years later, we are going to get a son. So what are you talking? How can you predict? I said, I don't know, this vision has come, keep it in the locker. And you won't believe my son was born on that date 2 years later. And then she made a startling revelation. She had lost her brother, 16-year-old brother in his young age. And she says, this is the same soul that has come back, and one day you will find proof. Yeah, I laughed it off. I don't believe it. And recently, about a few years back, we were cleaning almirahs in the house, and we come across a letter written by her deceased brother to her. And I took out that letter and said, this writing is very familiar, because I had another letter written by my son to her. And we put them together. You will not believe, same handwriting, ditto. So, my God, now you believe me? The talk that he does, our son, trying to get things for me, even in childhood, he used to say, buy a microwave oven for me. New microwaves had come for mom. She should be finding it easy in the kitchen. Washing machine, latest, get it. He used to pester me not for toys, but things which would give relief to his mom. That is what my brother wanted. Those sanskars, those unfulfilled desires of a soul, you live again. You fulfill them. And that is how life goes on.
You've left me with no words there.
It's very strange things have occurred in our house. And let me now also tell you my forthcoming book, which will be brought out by Pentagon in early next year. And that is the first fiction book, a non-fiction book I'm writing. And the topic is my wife. Because I was requested by Rajanji, father of Shiva, that why don't you write on reality? You have faced 40 years, day to day. You have seen your wife making predictions, clairvoyance. Why don't you write about that experience? And that set me thinking last year, and I am on the job, finalizing it, and giving my promise to give him my manuscript early next year. Now, I want to give you a peep in that book also. because it's a very different topic. Clairvoyance is a power since childhood. And I have no scientific explanation for it, neither does she. But the events that occurred, I was a non-believer at my time of marriage. Again, became a convert. And let me relate an incident. I was a young chartered accountant. After my marriage, I was trying to expand my professional work and had an appointment fixed up with the top industrialist of those days. I can even name him now. He's no more. Dr. Ronak Singh. And he, through somebody, gave me time. I was an aspiring CA. And I said, maybe I will be able to get some audit work from this organization. And I was leaving for the meeting. She stops me and says, your meeting will be successful. I had a vision about it. What did you see? You will be given 2 envelopes by the gentleman. You will get work. Okay, I shrugged my shoulders, didn't believe, and walked into the interview. An odd place, Allahabad house. He had a top floor office, and he was sitting on the table, and I went, introduced myself. 5 minutes the talk went on, and slowly he pulls out his drawer, takes out an envelope, hands it over to me, and I'm thinking of the vision she had said. Mr. Kapur, you are appointed statutory auditor for our forthcoming company, Bharat Gears Limited. Thank you so much, sir. I sent my acceptance immediately. I received the letter. He indicated the meeting is over. And I got up, walked towards the exit door, and I'm thinking her vision is only partially correct. Where is the second envelope? And you won't believe, before I exit, he calls me back. Just a minute, Mr. Kapur. I came back, and he takes out another envelope and gives it to me. The subsidiary company also you have to audit. This is the second appointment letter I'm giving. Oh my God. I rushed home. There were no mobiles then to convey the good news that your vision is 100% correct. And that day I became a complete convert, believing in her. And this was reconfirmed. 2 more incidents I'm going to. There are numerous, but I picked 2 incidents which I'm going to relate in the book, which we have not discussed with anyone in the home yet, but they will find mention in the new book. Few years after the marriage, emergency days, Indira Gandhi had imposed emergency, and there was a leader called Jayaprakash Narayan who was opposing her. And he was the leader of the opposition. And he was bedridden, he was ill in an ICU. And suddenly we are having lunch together in the radio. In those days we had a radio, not television, was not popular. And the announcer says, we regret to announce that Jayaprakash Narayan is no more. He breathed his last at 1 p.m. a.m. or whatever, 1 p.m. And the moment the news came, she butts in, very authoritatively looks at me and said, this news is false. What are you talking? This news is false. This is All India Radio, authorized, correct always. No. I have in my vision visited the ICU just now, and I have seen him breathing. He is still breathing. Hardly had she uttered this, the announcement came. We regret to announce a wrong news circulation. Mr. Jayaprakash lives on. That was the wrong news. Sorry for the error. I'm looking at her and she's looking at me. How? I don't know. He died 6 months later on that day. He was still living for 6 months. And I said, how do you do it? They said, I don't know. Don't ask me. And the second incident, she was visiting Indira Gandhi during the emergency to show some paintings to the PM. And there's a wicket gate when you visit the PM's house, and there's a section for the meeting of the public members. And she was to walk through that wicket gate and meet various artists and people. She was one of them, given time for 5 minutes. And as she was waiting for the PM to arrive, suddenly she has this experience of hearing gunshots in her vision. Blood on the floor, on that wicket gate, blood. Shots. And she's relating it to me many years later, that I had this. But at that time, she could not understand what that vision meant. She told her parents, who were very concerned, when they reached home that evening, that I have had this vision. I am not able to place what is the meaning. And many years hence, when Indira was assassinated, these exact things were there. The wicket gate, the bloodshot, the shooting, the cries. It came out true. And then she understood, oh my God, so many years back, I could see later this is going to happen, but I didn't know, I couldn't place. So these two instances find in the book along with various others, and it's a very interesting book. And when it comes, I am going to recommend it to all of you. It will be on Amazon also, I'm sure. But it's a very different type of work, futuristic.
So the main essence of what I decipher after hearing the stories, because I've heard these stories before and I've interacted with ma'am as well. What I have come to a conclusion after hearing these stories is it's the belief system that keeps us going. It's the belief system of our conscious mind and subconscious mind that helps us understand the reality and make the things like we say that we interpret what's going to happen in the future. It's all the mind that's
Mind and mind. Plus, another thing I would add, she coupled her clairvoyance with counseling, which is a very additional tool. And people who come to our drawing room, there's a couch, they sit there, they come out, I was surprised, they come out with the deepest secrets which they have not shared till date with anyone. She has that aura or whatever, I don't know, they come out with it. And there are so many serious problems that today's all age groups face. Torment, pain, suffering. And she counsels them together with the futuristic vision coupled with it and shows them simple upayas which they do, and 90%, I'm happy to say, get relief to some extent, because we get thank you calls from all over the globe on our landline. And that is why when I was thinking of a title for the book, the forthcoming book, I said, reflected, what is she doing? She's mending minds and stitching souls. You understand? A soul is ripped apart, there are holes in it. And through her counseling and clairvoyance, she's stitching that soul into one again. And she's mending the broken mind and stitching souls. And Nietzsche likha hoga, a clairvoyance journey. That 70 years she is going to be. And I hope to release this book on her 70th birthday next year. So 70 years of this power. And I am only a recent observer, 40 years, more than 40 years. I have also been seen, and there are very interesting anecdotes. The privacy is fully protected, no names are mentioned, only lessons that others can learn and benefit from. Those are listed in the book, and it's purely factual. For a change, I'm not writing fiction.
Beautiful.
That is
We are fortunate enough to have Neelam ma'am with us in this room. Can I request her to come here and just chant a shloka or maybe just a mantra that would energize this conversation more?
Oh my God. I can't believe it. I can just say, Om Vakritundya Mahakaya Surikoti Samaprabha Nirviknam Kurumai Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Shukra.
It's a very powerful shloka which means invoking Ganesha for good luck, new beginnings for everyone, and hurdles over from today onwards. New beginnings.
That was so beautiful.
I think we can maybe end on this note if you agree. It's a positive note.
Definitely, definitely. Before we go, I have one final question for you.
Yeah.
I have two personal questions that I ask all my guests that I call upon.
True.
The first one is what you read a lot, because you've done a lot of research in science, spirituality, even accountancy for that matter.
Yes.
What is one book you wish you would have read earlier?
I tell you, the best book, the psychological book, the scientific book, the spiritual book which I read in my late 40s, I wish I had read it in college. And that book was presented to me by my publishers of Pentagon Press very recently. One of the first few copies. I was fortunate when Rajanji presented me with a memento that is coming out on the 25th year of existence. And that includes a very attractive, the Bhagavad Gita, with a pen and a diary. And that was also given recently to our former president, COVID. And I was fortunate to receive it a few days back only. And that book, I tell you, solves the spiritual, the practical, the day-to-day life tangles, each one of them. If you read the English translation, that is the one book I would recommend. Because there is a chapter, when Krishna enunciates the ideal qualities, the good qualities of an ideal human being, which one can aspire for. No other book mentions it. Then he links up the human level of consciousness with the infinite level is Viratu, that we are linked to somebody. No other religion in the world gives you treaties on that link. And that empowers you immediately for day-to-day living. It's a book that will help you in life. And I wish I had read it earlier.
Wow. Sir, I would also tell you, you are not the first person on this podcast who said that this was the book. They would have
Many people would have said it.
There are so many people
Yes.
who have interacted with. All of them say, "I wished I would have read the
Yeah,
Bhagavad Gita earlier."
So right. I would recommend the younger generation, find time. Please do go through the English abridged format at least. It will instill new ideas in you. It will give you that potential. It will give you the energy to boost and win the race. Thumbs up.
Before my second personal question, I'm going to ask you a question based on your book.
Yes.
Your book talks about the Gita.
Yes.
In the Gita, they have mentioned that there are 10 avatars of Vishnu in total.
Yes.
Vishnu Ji in total.
Yes.
And 9 we've already witnessed and we've known about.
Yes.
Can you spread some more light on the 10th avatar?
10th avatar. Very interesting you should ask this question, because in the Gita Secret, that thriller format, I have dealt with this very thing. And actually the 10th avatar in the book is shown as the neurological scientist Dr. Roy, who invents that app through science and spirituality combined to raise the level of humanity to infinity. And he is shown as the 10th avatar. But actually when you read our scriptures, they say that the 10th avatar called Kalki, Kalki, will appear on the horizon in a particular time when the Satyug, advent of Satyug comes. Now, Kalki spelled, and I kept the deliberate name of Dr. I. First name is Professor Laik, Laik, which means intelligent in Hindi. Now, Laik reshuffled gives Kalki. And there is another character, Gopal, in the book, who is an astrologer. And he happens to study the chart of Dr. Roy astrologically. And he's shocked to find that this particular life, that chart, has already had 9 lifetimes. You can judge from the position of Pluto, as astrology tells us. And I do believe in astrology. That this person has had 9 lifetimes. The 10th lifetime is going on very crucial lives. And that is the 10th avatar. And it comes every time after a particular time gap. Whenever all the 9 planets he found in that book which I wrote, I have created that scenario. Whenever the 9 planets come in a straight line, 9 planets coming in a straight line is very rare. And this phenomena repeats after millions of years. And whenever that is repeated, one avatar lands up in the Srishti, and that is the time when evil is rearing its head. So the avatar is supposed to fix up that evil. Right must win over evil. And Krishna in the Gita reassures humanity, I will be there. At every time when evil breaks hold, Kali Yuga has started now. I will be there to defeat and stand by humanity and make it survive. And believe me, when other cultures thought of pralaya or destruction or things like that holocaust, it is not a physical pralaya. It is a higher pralaya of evil being destroyed. Manthan, Samudra Manthan is talked of. When there is a churning, vast universal churning, the poison is thrown out, the nectar remains, and elevated human beings come when Satyug comes. That is the whole story behind that book, The Gita Secret, which Pentagon got out. And that is our thing to look forward for the 10th avatar, because when evil, because these days wars have started, you have seen Hamas and Israel has been attacked and Israel is retaliating. Horrible situation. Already we have had that Ukraine thing. Now added to this, this has come. So most astrologers, I'm reading Times of India astrologer these days, he's predicting doom. This will happen, that will happen. But believe me, there is a noble force, a higher force, which we believe in, that will ultimately, up tak, so many challenges have come, ecological, COVID, this, that, vaccine was discovered. Something in the human being, there's some force protecting us, all right. Negativity is being fought, pushed back, and we are proceeding ahead. Call it avatars or call it human collective consciousness, feelings of righteousness that seem to work when challenges come. Whenever you find human beings challenged, some of us great minds fight back, and that momentum builds, and vaccines are discovered for diseases, and evil is restricted by good souls, world leaders on the horizon, like our present Prime Minister, I would say, is doing a good job. He says, this is not an era of wars, and they listen to him. Look at the American president embracing him. Look at the UK, Rishi Sunak bending. So, such good voices are heard, and they have meaning in the world of today. And scientists, spiritualists, authors, presenters, YouTube runners, you're spreading good words. You're doing a good job. You're reaching out millions. Social media is a very powerful tool, and you're utilizing it in a very good way, not in a bad way. Everything has good and bad uses, like atom. But people, young people like you, Shivam, are doing a very yo service to today's humanity by utilizing social media for good causes. I would say you're the avatar. Each one of us is an avatar. Take it that way. We are born to do good. That hats off to you. I end like
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you for this opportunity. I'll be back when the new book comes, by the way.
You're always welcome, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I have so many questions in my mind, but I think we'll keep that for another
Next
day.
time.
Thank you so much. Can I request you to sign me a copy of your
Yes,
book?
of course. I always put Om whenever I give a book to someone.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.